Evolution was a film that was released in 2001, and definitely a film that I vividly remember getting and seeing a lot at the video store when I was 12. And this is directed by Ivan Reitman, and it's very family-esque. Like it's, well, for the most part. I mean, it's PG in Canada, but it's PG-13 in the US. And it's got its, subtext with sex jokes and stuff like that, and really, really mild swearing. But overall, it's got that like Ghostbusters vibe, Galaxy Quest kind of theme going on with it. It has to do with aliens and them evolving really fast, and the aliens are very reminiscent of films like Starship Troopers, Mars Attacks. It definitely has a big Mars Attacks feel in its tone, and it's really enjoyable. And I specifically remember having such a good time with this one when I was a kid. What we have going on here is at the beginning of the film, a asteroid crashes into Earth, and the film opens up with Sean William Scott. The cast is awesome in this film. Sean William Scott is very randomly showing up at a desert in Arizona. This all takes place in Arizona. He has this like crash test dummy looking female dummy thing, and he shows up and then he puts her in a house. Then he comes like a little hut. He comes out of the hut and then he lights the hut on fire and then he goes inside and rescues this dummy. And you're like, what the hell is going on here? Because he's by himself. It ends up being he's training to be a firefighter. He's basically in firefighting school, I think. But his dream is to be a firefighter, essentially. Why he was doing this whole thing on his own without an audience or anything like that, I don't know. But, anyways, this asteroid hits. He discovers this for the first time, and in this asteroid is basically specimens. And David Duchovny, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but this is the X-Files guy. This guy played in Californication. He played in a film called Goats that I really like. He's popped up in a few things. X-Files being the most popular. And him and Orlando Jones' character, they both work at a college or university, not exactly sure which, but they go and sample this asteroid and or meteor or whatever, and start kind of experimenting with it and figuring out what it is and the organisms in it. And these organisms wildly grow, like in a matter of hours. I mean, their evolution is what evolution on Earth took like 200 million years to do, and they're doing it in like 2 hours. So these things are exponentially, like rapidly, unrealistically fast. They're already like spurting flowers, and they turn into a whole ecosystem and insects and stuff like that in a matter of days. The government takes over, essentially. They take over this crash site on the where the meteor hit. They basically tell Orlando Jones and David Duchovny to fuck off, essentially, and we'll handle it from here, even though those two professors were the first to discover, and they're not going to give him any credit. The main general guy making all the decisions for the army and the government or whatever is played by Ted Levine. So again, huge cast. Julianne Moore's in here. Ted Levine is he did the voice for Joyride. What's his fucking name? Rusty Nail. Blanked there for a second. And of course, he played in Silence of the Lambs too. Very iconic voice on him, and he plays a milder character, but he still has that like iconic, deep, menacing voice to him, kind of thing. And the film just basically continues on from there with Orlando Jones' character Harry and David Duchovny's. I know I'm butchering that name, but his character named Ira Kane, and it's them. They sneak into the base at one point when they have all their samples from the university stolen by the government, and they go and try and get it back, and they're fighting constantly on getting credit on these aliens, and eventually they have to figure out how to stop them, and and because they're growing so fast at a rate where in 2 months' time they're going to basically wipe out all of the United States and make humans extinct. There's a lot of funny moments in this film. Like I said, the aliens themselves look really goofy and they're very cartoonish. This film is very comic book style, and I like that theme. It's lighthearted. It's pretty appropriate for a wide audience kind of thing, and I find it's a film that kids and adults can have fun with. Sean William Scott's character is named Wayne, and he basically just reminds me of Stifler. He's a Stifler that's not swearing and not trying to fuck every chick that walks his way, essentially. But his mannerisms and his goofiness is very Stifler like. I found that funny. This film is obviously filled with sex puns that will go over kids' heads, but they're all there. There's so many of them. My favorite scene in this film, hands down, the one that I definitely remembered it as a kid and was always my favorite scene, was when they're all in like, or Harry and Ira are in full on like biohazard suits kind of thing, and they're trying to get samples from this ecosystem that has developed, and a mosquito ends up cutting his way into Orlando Jones's suit and gets down and into Orlando Jones' ass, and he has to go to the hospital and he has to get this thing basically exported through his rectum, and the facial expressions that this guy is making are just priceless. And he's like, "Don't amputate my leg, don't," because they see it like crawling down his leg. He's like, "Don't take the leg," and then the thing starts like going up his leg, and they're like, it's heading to his testicles, and he's like, "Take the leg, take the leg." And it's the best. It's just his facial expressions that get me the most in that scene. So iconic. And also when they're in those suits, they don't realize that their microphones are on, and both of them are having a conversation about Julianne Moore's character Allison, and saying like that she's an ice queen and she's impenetrable, and she's probably like has no sense of humor, and wouldn't want like any sexual relations with anybody. And they're talking about her ass and everything, and they're comparing her ass to one of the aliens' asses. I had to kind of look up like what kind of character Wayne was. He, like I said, he was he's studying to be a firefighter, but he also just works random jobs, and because he was always like every time he would show up on screen, he'd always be doing something different, and I'd be like, what the fuck is this guy's title? Like, what's his job title? Apparently, he works in a country golf club. He works at a country club, and he just does a bunch of things at the country club, whatever he's asked to. He's bartending a party at one point where they play the song "Baby Come On Over" by Samantha Mumba. Very, very late 90s, early 2000s R&B song. I thought it was by TLC. It's kind of in that vein, but I had never heard of Samantha Mumba until now. Not really my style of music that I usually listen to, but you hear the song, it's very iconic. Everybody will remember that song. Take a piece of my heart. Anyway, there's this scene where this like frog dog looking alien kind of thing with like a really like grumpy Eeyore looking mouth with big eyes comes out of a closet, and then this woman like goes to pet him or something, and then his tongue comes out and grabs the woman, and the tongue is a turkey neck. Like it looks like a turkey with the neck and everything. It's so ridiculous. All the aliens look great. I love this scene that takes place in the mall where this dragon looking alien is just wrecking havoc on the mall. Goes to like the lingerie section. Is this woman is like stealing clothes in the change room, and she opens the door and there's like the dragon's face. There's a good balance between practical effects and CGI in this film, which I liked. Obviously, the practical effects are hands down the best. But the mall scene is really funny. Wayne, played by Sean William Scott, is trying to like attract the dragon when it goes missing. And he starts like caw caw trying to make bird sounds to get the the dragon thing, and then he goes to a microphone and he starts doing it and again, and Orlando Jones is like, clearly that's not working, like getting on his nerves, and then he starts singing "You Are So Beautiful" in the microphone, trying to get the dragon, and David Duchovny's character Ira is like, all right, I'm just gonna kill him, and Orlando Jones is like, nope, leave that to me. I'm the one who's gonna be killing this motherfucker. And as he's singing "You Are So Beautiful," the dragon of course shows up, and then they end up killing the dragon alien thing. And then at one point in the movie, they figure out that fire actually makes these aliens spread like wildfire, no pun intended, because Orlando Jones like throws a match in, or a cigarette or something into petri dish that has a sample of the aliens, and then it just spreads into these like tentacle things. So Ted Levine's character, who is the general of the army, has a plan to throw napalm into this whole ecosystem to destroy the aliens, and that's obviously a bad idea because if fire makes them spread like wildfire and they do that, well, North America is going to be swallowed up within a matter of like 30 seconds. So these characters are trying to stop it from happening. They also discover that the aliens have a weakness of this chemical on the periodic table. And this chemical is readily found in shampoo. And I like how it's the bumbling idiots who are supposed to be the comedic relief of the film that nobody takes seriously find this out, that this chemical compound is in shampoo, because they use shampoo on their hair all the time, and that's the only reason why they know that this chemical is available in Head and Shoulders or whatever. So they take a shit ton of this shampoo and they go to use it on the aliens. At this point, the napalm is already dropped, and then the aliens form into this like cellular, massive scale, friggin' crawling. I don't even know what to call it. It's just this big, jumbo, fat alien with crawling abilities. Essentially, it's massive, and they take the Orlando Jones and David Duchovny take a fire truck and pump it with shampoo, and then their plan is to kind of stick it into a hole underneath this giant alien, which I just assume is supposed to be the alien's ass. And there's a lot of like gross out humor with that goes on, as you can imagine. And yeah, it ends pretty abruptly. Like they don't stretch out the end, like the climax, I should say, too long. But it gets the job done, and they get the job done. And there's there's a good amount of humor in this film, and really well paced comedic scenes and comedic moments that I really like. And like I said, the aliens themselves look funny and comical, and they're all like, there's all kinds of them. I like how they're all designed, and they all have their like quirky designs, and they all represent some kind of like animal that's already, you know, Earth-like kind of thing. Sarah Silverman pops up in here too for like a brief bit. She's playing the ex of Ira Kane, played by David Duchovny, and they're at a breakfast restaurant, and she's hanging out with the guy she's either seeing or dating, who's a police officer. She's trying to use this police officer to make Ira jealous, and she says like he's about to be promoted in his job and whatnot, and she'll go to kiss him, and she'll look at Ira trying to make him jealous, but the cop just ends up saying and doing the goofiest shit to make her plan not work, and to like he just exposes himself as being like a bumbling useless idiot. Good cast, and they all do a really good job in their performances. And Allison, who's played by Julianne Moore. I don't know why I blank on these names all the time. She does a really good job. She looks great in this film. I like her hairstyle in this film. She looks really, really good. Very good looking. And I'm not like the biggest fan of Julianne Moore, like look wise. She's not necessarily my type in anything, but in this film specifically, she plays a very cute, nerdy woman, and I like how she actually wears a shirt that has the periodic table on the back of it, and I don't know, she has this like spunk to her in this film that makes her quite attractive in this one specifically. And yeah, everybody's great. Orlando Jones is hilarious. Sean William Scott is obviously the most hilarious in this film, clearly. And Duchovny is good for a lead role. Like he's not like heroic, but he's like that everyday professor that I guess you can relate to easily. Yeah, good film. Definitely want to check out. Go stream it somewhere. It's available on Blu-ray, but I only have it on DVD. I really wouldn't replace the DVD unless I found it like dirt cheap. Unless I found the Blu-ray dirt cheap somewhere. But it's definitely a very fun film and one to check out if you never have before. If you have already and haven't seen it in a long time, go relive it. It's an underrated classic for sure. It's definitely an underrated gem that I think more people should discover. So that's Evolution. I really like it. Love the little three-eyed symbol. Yeah, badass film. Subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice or if you like my film reviews. I will be back with more soon, so stay tuned for those. Check out what's on the channel already. Stay tuned for what's coming. Until next review, have a good one. Take care and cheers.